Welcome to Shooting Straight with Brad and Casey. I'm Brad Carlyon, your Navajo County attorney, and my partner is
Casey Clark, Navajo County Sheriff.
And for this episode of Shooting Straight, we're really glad to have the S.A.F.E house back. As we all knew back in October, we thought we were going to lose it, and ChangePoint stepped up to the table along with the help of the board, and it's back. And we have Shelly with ChangePoint and Jerry, the head of the S.A.F.E House Foundation, the board, the nonprofit. Welcome. Thank you for joining us, and tell us how ChangePoint, Shelly, was able to step up and help on this.
I think what happened is we realized that we were going to lose the S.A.F.E house, lose the funding, and we knew that that was a very needed service here in this community, and it would be very bad for our community to lose that service. So we really met with the board of ChangePoint and with the board with S.A.F.E House and really talked about how can we get the service back online so we can have that service here in this community, and did a lot of work that way, talking about it and figuring out how we can make that happen.
Now, Casey and I know what ChangePoint is, but there might be some people watching who don't really understand ChangePoint, especially since it's a relatively new name still. Yeah.
ChangePoint Integrated Health, we are the mental health provider here in Navajo County. We provide a lot of the mental health. We have a psychiatric 16-bed hospital. We have a group home. We have housing. We have offices, sites in Winslow, Holbrook, Snowflake, and Show Low. And so we provide a lot of the wraparound services for mental health.
So how does Domestic Violence S.A.F.E House fit in with the mission of ChangePoint in helping with mental and behavioral health services?
Part of our mission is to empower individuals, and that can be the community, the individuals that come in, our staff, and so that fits right into our mission, empowering and helping individuals become more successful in their own life. And so with domestic violence, even on the surface, it's just a horrific issue that occurs, but oftentimes there's so much trauma that occurs that it affects the emotions and the mental health, so that fits right into what we do.
Jerry, what was your and your board's reaction when ChangePoint reached out to you?
Well, it's actually, we reached out to them.
Oh, okay.
By the end of the summer, we were very much aware we've got a problem financially supporting the needs of the shelter as it existed. We'd lost a grant and we had lost some money from DES, and it just became obvious we needed to do something quickly because we have women at stake here that we had housed in the shelter. So we were able to find shelter homes for them. They were transferred to other homes around the area, and we proceeded in doing what we thought was our job, is to get the S.A.F.E house and the shelter in a position where we were ready for the next step, and it wasn't going to be same old, same old. We needed some assistance. So we talked to a couple of social agents, and when we went into ChangePoint and met in their offices, there was an immediate embracement from the ChangePoint staff that this is who we help. Our women, the victims of domestic violence, came to us because of the violence issue, beatings and just the disturbing fact of domestic and sexual violence. But when they are checked in, we realize these women sometimes have more problems than just being victims of domestic violence. They have issues on their own. Looking at trained social workers to be able to do intakes and find out where are these people in their life right now, and how can we empower them to become more productive and better citizens, think better of themselves, and get out of that wheel of constantly going back to the same perpetrator again and again and again, which has been kind of the history of domestic violence. So with ChangePoint, we sat down and here's where we have holes, and they said, here's how we can fill those holes. And quite honestly, we had a hardworking board. It got smaller in number as the summer went on, but I had some people that just worked right side by side with me. We walk into an office with about 8 people sitting around the table. Nobody backed away from an assignment that says, we can make this work. It was from an immediate merger almost, that we're going to make this thing work. And ChangePoint's aggressiveness, and yes, we'll take on the domestic violence issue and we'll manage the shelter. We have a shelter manager already in place, and we're going to plan on, it's still a proposed opening of about March 1st, but we'll open with fewer women. We were taking up to 28 women at the time, and Change Point just made it clear we're going to start with 10. We're going to do the best job we can with 10 people, and then get them ready to get back out into society, and then we'll move on to maybe 12 or 14 or whatever they feel like is appropriate and what they can serve. The need is so great, it's hard to shut that door. You know, there's just...
So when you said, Jerry, that you took up to 28, was there 28 people in there most of the time?
No, I think we averaged 21.7 or something like that throughout the year. And it was women and children. And changes in social laws and diversity factors and everything have made it now, it will not be a shelter that is strictly all women. We have to make arrangements for the diversity issue, which started just before we were moving women to other shelters. So those things have to be taken into consideration as we rehab the building to support our mission of taking care of the victims.
So, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
When you say 10 is what Change Point's going to do now, does that include children? So it's
Men, women, and children.
It's going to be a total of 10.
Yeah, and we're going to start with 10, and then we will increase, and we're going to find the right number that we can manage and provide the best possible care for.
Sure.
It sounds like it's a great partnership between Change Point and the Safe House. It almost sounds like you were providing a lot of the services you're still providing combined, but siloed, and now you're joined.
Yes, I think so, and I think the Safe House Board has been fantastic. They're very active, and they're gung-ho, and they've been great to work with, because we can give them assignments, and they'll take on assignments and just go with it, and we don't have to worry about it not being taken care of. So it's been...
Besides the reduction, at least for now, of the number of people that you'll service in the shelter, what other type of changes have occurred now that the two of you have joined?
I don't know if changes in our offerings.
Do you offer more, offer less?
I think, to be fair, Brad, we're working on how that template's going to serve us down the road. From the beginning, we were there because we had financial constraints and a need to continue the social services. Change Point says we can take care of this for you. We're going to cut the number. But what fascinated me is that Jeff and the staff says, well, wait a minute, what about this winter banquet we used to have? We need to have that going, and we're already sitting in November, December, and thinking a winter banquet in February. And the staff at Change Point and the board members from the Safe House, we've just jumped in it together. We're having the annual dinner for the White Mountain Safe House. It'll be a coming out party for the merger of Change Point and Safe House, February 17th up at Honda. Same format, pretty much as we've used in the past. It'll be a lovely evening. We'll see 350 people. The goal is to bring recognition to the new merger and to raise some funds for the Safe House.
Well, this will be aired in February, so we can get you a plug in for the first half. Who can they contact for tickets? What number or what person? How much are tickets? How much are sponsorships? Give yourself a plug real quick while you can.
Can you do that?
Our local office number, which is 537-5153, I believe, is where you can call to get tickets. We're selling sponsorship, the tables, for $600, and then we have other sponsorships, $1,000, $1,500, $25. We're taking in Bloom. It's not an auction. Balloon auction. Balloon auction,
yeah. Okay.
Where we're taking gift certificates and things like that. So we're collecting a lot of donations, things like that.
So even if somebody can't attend or sponsor a table, there's other ways they can help out.
Yes.
Are you doing an auction also?
We are doing a silent auction as well as a live auction. So we have all those things. We also are doing a dessert auction that has been well received in the past years.
And that's why I attend.
That's why I attend.
One thing I do want to point out, starting in about November, I guess, mid-November, I got a call at Thanksgiving time from a friend of the community and said, I want to call and tell you thank you for what you've been doing for the S.A.F.E. House. I says, please understand, I'm on the board. And she says, I just want you to know that as a citizen, I'm grateful to see this step forward. She said, I'd like to send you $1,000. And she did. Within a day or two, I received a check. It wasn't the first call or the last call. I mean, it was the first call, but it wasn't the last call. I'm amazed at the public's response, and they're coming to me because my name had been out there, but saying, we are so pleased to hear about the progress with Change Point. So when it came time to look for sponsors for the annual dinner, we looked for a couple of premier sponsors, and Summit Hospital stepped up with $5,000. Dr. Vera Bennett stepped up with $5,000, and we were off and running. Those were the first 2 calls I made, and they were excited to participate, and the rest of the responses, quite honestly, for the dinner have been wonderful. We'll have a nice crowd. And
are you wearing a kilt?
No, you know, we have gotten away from...
Oh, so it's not a Scottish thing.
It's not a Scottish dinner.
Okay.
We may have a couple of elements still working with one of the programmers.
We still want to have some of that because we do enjoy some of that theme, and people do like that and recognize that. So we're going to keep some of that. We are going to have the bagpipes and things like that. But our focus is really be brave. And
so that's your theme for the year?
Well, we have breaking the silence and then be brave.
Okay.
And so that's kind of breaking the silence is always our kind of theme throughout. The more that we can get information out, more people that are willing to talk, the better and able we can try to get a handle on this situation and help more people.
So you were saying that on the shelter there's some rehab going on. What type of rehab?
Work on bathroom facilities, shower stall,
okay.
Correcting some structural flaws, problems, but then also preparing for the diversity issue. We just had dormitories and had bang showers, and so now we're having to restructure to accommodate some of the diversity factors that we will have or anticipate having.
So, you know, and again, this community is just amazing when it comes to helping many different areas. But is that another area where maybe a local contractor, plumbing or whatever, could come in and go, we'd like to come in and donate some time?
Absolutely. We actually have had someone come in and say, we'll be willing to do some flooring for you, free of charge. So they're going to bring in the flooring, put the flooring in. We have people that are coming in and say, we'll paint. We're going to come in and spray paint the whole entire thing. We're getting donations from different places for paint and lumber and things like that, so we can. And they're stepping up and just coming in and telling us that they're willing to do this. So this is a great community to work in, and I've always known that they will step up where there is a need. And they are.
It's the house that seems to get a lot of the attention of the community, but there's so much more that the S.A.F.E. House and Change Point provide. I know you used to have the Butterfly Boutique. One, it was a potential moneymaker, but more importantly, it was a place for women to come to get information on how to keep them and their children safe and to get away. Do you still have the Butterfly Boutique, or how can women reach out and get help?
There's a number of things. We have leased and are going to have a thrift store. Okay. So we will have that same service and opportunity. We also have our crisis stabilization unit that is open 24/7. So women or anyone who is abused can walk into that unit and we can assess and get them to the right people.
I assume that's a place you can publicize the address of, the crisis center?
Yes, and that's right by our outpatient site.
Which is?
Is 2500 Lake Road.
So you go past the hospital and Walmart down that road.
Right, it's right past the hospital, right across
Lake Road, yeah.
Shola Lake Road.
So let me ask you, if let's say that the shelter is full, 10, and but there's a family that comes in that really needs to be in a shelter. Is there places that you can get them to?
Right. What we're planning to do is anyone that comes into crisis, we're going to help them. Whether it's we'll get them a place that night to spend the night, so make sure that they're safe, and then work on finding the appropriate place for them, whatever the case may be. We're not going to turn anyone away.
Great. That's fantastic.
So besides going to this crisis center, say I'm in an abusive relationship and I need help, I'll go to that crisis center. What happens?
What they will do is they'll bring them in and put them in a safe place and make sure they feel safe. and then be able to do a screening and an assessment of what the needs be. We also then are working with...
Let me back up.
Okay.
So you do the screening and assessment for needs. What kind of needs are you looking for, or
Really,
or evaluating?
You know, do they need a safe place?
Okay.
Is there signs of abuse right there, physical abuse, sexual abuse? What services do we need to get in place? Do we need to send them to the ER? Do we need to get the Family Advocacy Center involved for the litigation piece? You know, we'll kind of figure out what we have to do at that time, as well as contacting the safe house of, okay, we have this person that's going to come up. So then we can provide the transportation for them. But we want to screen and assess for all those needs there. Are there needs for a psychiatric services?
Does that assessment start immediately when
Yes.
they come in?
As soon as they walk in, we're doing the assessment.
Okay. I'm sorry for interrupting you.
That's all right.
Okay.
So we're looking at all the different services, whether it's mental health, psychiatric, legal. Is there emergency physical needs that need to be met? And then we want to make sure we get those people involved.
So you get them in the housing, you figure out if there should be a criminal investigation started. Do you help them get together what they need to go on with their life alone? Because so many of them, they're not only physically abused, they're so controlled. They don't
Correct.
have access to money. They don't have access to any legal documents. They're isolated, which is
Right.
part of the
Right.
plan of the abuser.
First and primary, we want to make sure they're safe. That's number one. Then we know there's so many things for them to get out of the abusive relationship. There is that legal. There's the money situation. How are they going to take care of themselves, their children? How are they going to have housing, child care? So that is a big piece of our program that we want to work with them. Vocational rehabilitation. How can we help them get a job? Can we get them clothes to be able to go and do interviews, give them those skills to do interviews? How do we find housing for them? The different ways to get on waiting lists or make applications for housing. That's another big piece of the program that we're going to do. So there's a number of things. We want to make sure that they can get out and be self-sufficient on their own.
What's a typical stay at the safe house? I mean, is it a month, a week, 6 months? I mean, what?
We have it where there is a 90-day, up to a 90-day stay. Now, I don't know if there's numbers that you may have, Jerry, about how long the average stay was, but they can stay up to 90 days. So we have some time to work with that trauma, work with the emotional stuff that's going on, and then get them to a place where they can make goals for themselves.
But even if they're out after 90 days, you can still work with them.
Yes.
Outpatient, I guess, I'm not sure.
We're going to have a mobile advocacy program.
Okay.
So what we'll do with the mobile advocacy is we'll be able to drive out and do welfare checks type things.
Great.
Go and check on them, see how they're doing. Is there anything else that we can assist you with? If they're coming into Change Point for other issues, then there's a way to continue to work with them with VOC or anything else.
But let's say that after 90 days they leave this area and go somewhere else. Change Point is statewide, so they could.
No, you're not.
Actually, we're only Navajo County.
Okay.
But if they do go outside of the county, part of the mobile advocacy is picking up the phone, seeing if we can find phone contact. How are you doing? How we can connect you with other resources.
So those who are victims of domestic violence, hopefully if they watch or get access to the show, will realize it's not just housing. You help them every step of the way till they can get on their feet again.
Yes.
Because I
Giving
think
those resources and those tools.
to find jobs. You mentioned there's often legal hurdles they're facing to get money and things. Do you have a relationship with maybe like Southern Arizona Legal Aid Service or another group to provide those type of services?
We're working on that. We're involved in the coalition for Navajo County, the Domestic Violence Coalition, so a lot of people are on that coalition that can help us, and we've been able to make those contacts with, so we can develop those relationships and be able to give resources and possibly even have them come in and help out.
So who all is part of this coalition? I know, but the people watching don't.
So I know that Alice's Place, the other domestic violence shelter, is involved there. We have people from the victim services from the county that are involved there. We have police officers, sheriffs. We've had different attorneys involved. A number of people throughout that have a passion for domestic violence sit on that coalition to try to develop a way to provide this service and get the services known out in the community.
Bringing more partners together to help the victims of this.
I want to throw something out if I can to follow up on what you were leading to. When we accepted women into the shelter, it was because of the domestic violence issue. And we can oftentimes fix the surface wounds. The problem are the mental condition of the women once they're in that shelter. When we can take care of be safe and we can fix the wounds, but the emotional damage that's been done over the years, that's why it was such for me, a joyful thing to think about these women being able to have the services of Change Point to deal with the mental health issues that are part and parcel of the whole problem.
And another part of that is, Casey sees it through going into the homes. I see it on the prosecution side that oftentimes my new domestic violence perpetrators grew up in a home with domestic violence. And I'm hoping that you can also help provide services to those children to see that that is not normal, that is not the way to have a healthy relationship.
Right, and that is one of our goals, is really working with the kids to try to show them and give them role models of men and women, and so they see what can be out there, what is the roles of men and women in our society. We also work with those that have been the perpetrators, and we do provide groups for them and try to provide dealing with their own traumas and trying to get them to a place where they don't have to have that controlling part of their personality.
And I know we force those who are convicted of domestic violence to come visit you or another provider and get 26 weeks worth of classes.
26 weeks?
Yeah, it's half a year.
That's good.
Yeah.
Do you see much change in people that take those classes?
We do. It may be few and far between sometimes, and we grab onto those successes. Sometimes we don't even see the successes that we have because they leave, they go on, and maybe they never have another issue. We won't necessarily know that. We do see different perpetrators that come through the classes. As they're going through the class, the light bulb goes on, something changes for them. They start working on different things. It's not going to change overnight, it didn't happen overnight. And oftentimes we have to go back to their childhood and what was going on there, what got them to the place that they're at. We do outcomes, we do look at pre and post tests and trying to get their perception of the classes and what they're learning, what the facilitator's perception is, and try to see, are we on the same page? Are we looking at the same thing? And what are some other things that we can do to help?
It's nice to see you're running the whole gamut from the victim to the perpetrator to the children.
Absolutely.
And trying to stop the cycle of violence.
It's a whole system, and we have to approach it from a systems point of view. It affects our community. Someone comes in with domestic violence, we now have the legal system involved, we have mental health involved, we have maybe DES. Financially, it's a burden. The emergency rooms, all sorts of things. So it affects our community as a whole.
Which is why that coalition's together
Absolutely.
to become more effective. Jerry, now that you have Change Point kind of running the operational side of the White Mountain Safe House, how has the role of the board and your role as president of that board changed?
At this point in time, we intend to keep the board of the Safe House in place. We'll act as an advisory board to Change Point as we grow this new merged operation. Eventually, one or two will be assigned to the board of Change Point. At this point, one person would be asked to serve on the Change Point board as they eventually take control over the whole operation.
So then would the Safe House board maybe stay in place as a nonprofit fundraising arm for
Possibly. That is one aspect that Jeff has looked at, and Shelly, that maybe there is a role that way for us. And
we really want to keep them as an advisory board at the minimum because they are so active and are so essential to the Safe House and funding it and helping it run. So we want to keep them.
It's a passion for the people that get involved on that board. It's just something you can't walk away from very easily. And then to walk in and be received at Change Point like we were and realize they got a whole bunch of people here working here with passion for the same issues that we're doing voluntarily. that's what caused the marriage to just take place so easy. Just grateful for what's ahead for the victims that exist in our county, in the community.
And unfortunately, there's many more than people realize.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh.
Well, Jerry, one more time to plug your fundraiser coming up.
We'll be February 17th out at Honda in the ballroom. It's a beautiful evening. Honda has done a wonderful job each year dressing the room out. It's just spectacular. And we will welcome approximately 350 people into the door. We'll have a balloon auction so that you buy a balloon, and inside of every balloon is at least a $25 value coupon, and we'll sell those. We have the silent auction. We have a live auction that we're gathering items for right now, and the proverbial cake or dessert auction that has become part of the mountain. It'll run, the doors open at 5 o'clock, and we'll be done by 8:30, something like that.
And Shelly, plug the phone number again where they can call to get tickets.
537-5153 to our administration office.
And thank you both for joining us again.
Thank
we
you.
appreciate it. We're glad that you guys are able to keep the Safe House going.
Nice being with you. Thank you very much.
This is an exciting show to let the people know that we're not losing the Safe House. So
we're not.
Thank you for everything that you both do on this.
Thank you.
It's very important. And we'll see you at the dinner.
Absolutely.
And we'll get a cake.
I'll hold a balloon. I'll hold a balloon for you.
Okay.
And thank you for joining us for this month's Shooting Straight with Brad and Casey. And stay tuned for this month's Most Wanted.
The Navajo County Sheriff's Office is seeking Alan Wayne Ingram, Jr. He is wanted on a Navajo County felony warrant for failure to appear from original charges of possession of dangerous drugs, possession of paraphernalia, extreme DUI, and driving on a suspended license. If you have any information on Alan Wayne Ingram, Jr., please contact the Navajo County Sheriff's Office at 928-524-4050 or anonymously through WeTip at 1-800-78-CRIME or WeTip.com.